Good morning, YouTube, and today I'll be profiling for you Deskbots. This is a really fun deck I've had exciting time with, and I have a lot of weird choices in here, but I'll explain at the end, maybe even show you a combo, so stay tuned. Starting off with our monsters, we run two Deskbot 1s. I run two because I run a heavier synchro build, and I run a 1-for-1, so I need to see him a little bit more often. Plus, generically, he's not that bad to see as an option because he's a general beat stick. It's pretty cool. I run triple Deskbot 3, he's your searcher, not too much to explain there. 3, he's my personal favorite. A lot of people will say 4 is the best, but 3 will special summon any Deskbot card from your deck, and he has the floating effect of giving the boost to any one of your Deskbot cards during at any point in time in either player's turn. So it's pretty cool in that. There's the OTK, the 2-card OTK, he uses this guy, and so I love him. He looks awesome as well. Next, Deskbot 4. This is when I actually picked up the deck. I was like, when I saw Deskbot 4, I was like, okay, I'll start playing it. He's cool because he sends any Deskbot monster from your deck to the graveyard, and he gains 500 times the level. So if you send 9, you're going to get 4,500 and making him a 5,000 beat stick. And just go 500, just depending on the level. And then afterwards, you can special summon Deskbot cards from your hand and or graveyard with different levels. So that's pretty darn cool. Next, I run triple Deskbot 5. He's one of the best, and his back row destruction, like this deck can die to back row, but additionally he gets to use Cyber Dragon Infinity, and if he's destroyed while in the Pendulum Zone, you get a special summon the Deskbot from Grave. It's pretty darn cool. This is where it starts to get a little bit different. Deskbot 6, I run playset. I'm going to max out on most of these Deskbot cards. The reason I run 6 is I like to see my scales as much as possible, and with Wavering Eyes back, it becomes a lot less of a cloggy thing to see. Additionally, when he's destroyed, you get to add a Deskbot card from your graveyard to hand, which actually adds with some of the consistency problems that it does give you. And he's also an enemy controller, switching the battle position on special summon. Oh, by the way, 6 and 5, they both gain 500 for each Deskbot card in your face of extra deck. Moving on with a little bit of the strangeness, we run a triple 7s and triple 8s. Now, I know this is a little bit different. Most people only run 1 or 2 of both of these, but I enjoy seeing my scales as much as possible. Plus, generically, they're not that bad. They both gain 500 attack for each Deskbot card in your graveyard. Plus, additionally, 7 has the ability where you can only attack him and as a Deskbot card, and 8 has the one you can only target her as a Deskbot card. So if you get 2 of each, you get a little nice, fun little lock, cute little lock. A nice part about 8 as well is that the targeting is for any Deskbot card. So if your opponent plays MST or Twin Twisters, they have to target her. So if she's on a monster zone, they can't target your back row or your pendulum zones for destruction. It's a pretty cute little thing. 7 also has piercing, which surprises a lot of people because most people don't use him for the attacking effect, and I've won games off of that. And then 8 can attack monsters twice, so that's pretty good as well. Rounding up our Deskbots, we have one Deskbot 9. He is essentially your boss monster of the deck. It's a little over excessive if you run more. He becomes Cloggy. I know I'm the one who's talking about Cloggy, but he's recurable, and he doesn't, like, once he gets on the field, usually he's going to stay. He has so many different effects. Once per turn during your main phase 1, you can activate his effect, and you gain all the attack of all the Deskbot cards on the field besides him. But you do get to keep his attack, so it's pretty cool. So if you have like 5 Deskbot cards on the field, he's gonna be big, regardless of if you get his effect off. He's gonna be huge. Next, he's on Armades on attack. That's super cool. Like, he gets over Crystal Wing. It's pretty darn awesome. Additionally, he has the ability to protect himself by popping another Deskbot card. So the nice part about that is he has nice little synergy with 5 and 6, in that, like, if they're in your pendulum zone, you can elect to destroy them instead, and you get your special summon of Deskbot from Grave, plus he stays on the field. And you can also destroy Deskbot base, which is pretty cool. So he's a pretty nice, cool guy, and I only run 1 because that's all you really need. Next, running out monsters, we run 2 Speedroid Minko. This is because there are a few times where your opponent will get over all your monsters, or like you'll have a dead hand, and it's nice to have options in that case. So I run 2 Speedroid Minko. It's it's a target for machine dupe, and it's a level 4, so there's nice to be able to have that rank 4 option. And there's additional monsters which are kind of going to it, like your Decode Talker, your Firewall Dragon. So it's pretty cool and a decent defense and a good all-around card. Moving on to our spells, we run triple Deskbot base. This card is needed to the point where you need 3, but not needed to the point where you need terraforming in other ways to search it, because you have Deskbot 2, and you have other ways just to add it back, and so it's not that bad. All Deskbot cards gain 500 attack, which once you're stacking, it's kind of nice to be able to have that as an option. Essentially, Deskbot 3 comes out in the field as a 2,000 if you do your math with Deskbot base. So it's pretty cool. He has additional kind of like a reload effect, so it gets rid of those cloggy hands as well. And then it has the third little cute effect where if you have, I think, 9 Deskbot cards with different names from your field and or graveyard, you can banish them, shuffle all cards in your opponent's hand, field, and graveyard to the deck. So I've only got that out twice since this card came out, but it's pretty fun whenever you do. Next we run triple machine dupe because this is part of our OTK combo, and so we want to see it as much as possible. Next we run 1 limiter removal. I was contemplating taking this out, but then it's come in clutch so many times. Like you're gonna have a lot of attack, but this just gives you like an additional option to be able to push for game and get the little bit more aggression you need. Next we run 2 Wavering Eyes. It's off the ban list. I kind of want to make a space for 3, but I haven't found it just yet. I'll give you a few options as we go. This is just great. I don't need to really explain Wavering. It's pretty good. Dark Hole, since it's at 1, we run 1. 1 for 1. It's a good card. Again, I like going to the Synchros, the extra deck part of this. And so it's nice to be able to search out 1 whenever you have the option to, and it's just nice to get your play started. 1 Mystical Space Typhoon. I don't run Twin Twisters instead because your hand is kind of important in this deck. Again, this is another card I want to make more room for, but again, as we progress, you'll see options. Soul Charge, because Soul Charge is broken, and it's a good card. Special Tech, Spell Absorption. Each time a spell card is activated, you gain 500 life points. So that includes Pendulum Zone. So if you set your skill, you're gaining 1,000. This doesn't include himself, but like each time your opponent activates spell cards, you gain 500. So it's pretty nice for those who are trying to go excessive. This is definitely something you can swap out for adding more of the Mystical Space Typhoon and the third Waverings. But there's so many times where this is coming clutch, and it's kind of a little gimmicky thing. And people, either they'll sleep on it and they'll ignore it and you'll gain a bunch of life points, or they'll target this rather than another card they should probably destroy. 1 Mirror Force, because it's kind of random to have. This is again something you can swap out, but there's so many times where I just set the back row and they assume it's not Mirror Force because it's not that heavy a back row deck, but it turns out to be coming in clutch many times. And rounding up our main deck, we run a Solemn Warning because Solemn Warning's always been good. Moving on to our extra deck, we start off with 1 Naturia Beast because, I mean, if you're forced to go first because you like to go second with this deck, it's a good guy to set up with, and just generically all around great card. 1 Barkion because Paleozoics I think may show up every now and then, and there's always like back row hate that you need in the deck, so I kind of like having the Barkion. 1 Goyo Guardian, he's always been good, but now he's more specific, so he's not as much of a threat, but you can play in this deck, and I figured might as well. It's kind of fun. 1 Clearwing Synchro Dragon. I kind of like this a little bit more because he gives you a little bit more of a boost in terms of the attacking aspect. I was contemplating putting in Black Rose instead, but I just kind of like Clearwing. It's pretty darn cool. 1 Cyframe Lord Omega. You could run Ignister, because now he's especially at 2, it's more prominent, but this gives you more options to be able to actually go into him with some of your non-pendulum monsters. Next we run 1 Leo, Keeper of the Shaken Trees, because it's a pretty darn cool guy, and he gets over True Draco dude. Yeah, Masterpiece, that's his name. 1 Deskbot Jet, because it has a bunch of like cool little synergy with the deck, obviously because it's being a Deskbot card, and it's nice to go into, but it's not as necessary. There's a lot of neat combos out there that run it, but now with Links it's not as prominent, but it's still a pretty good card to have, and I'll always keep it at 1. Moving backwards a little bit, we do run a 9, a Trishula, because you can run Trishula, and he's pretty cool. Next, moving on, we have a small XYZ lineup. We run the Phantom Knights of Cursed Javelin. He's a nice little thing. He's kind of like a Gorgonic Guardian in the aspect that once per turn, either player's turn, you can detach and seize material and target a face-up opponent monster and it make its attack 0. So it's nice if you're trying to put for an excessive game and all you have is 2s on the field. It's pretty nice to have, and it's a disruption, and I kind of like it. One Gaga Cowboy because you run the triple Minkos and you run the Deskbot 4, so this is probably it's easiest to go into 4s, but it's not as necessary as much of the other stuff. I like it because it goes in the game. There was actually a time the other day where if I had Cowboy, I would have won, and so I just kind of keep it in there because Salt, more than likely. Cyber Dragon Nova and Cyber Dragon Infinity because 2 5s gives you this. This is probably one of your most go-to combos in the deck in terms of extra deck options because Cyber Dragon Infinity is always a great card and it makes your opponent focus on that rather than you building up your hand. One Red Ice Flare Metal Dragon because I like to be able to be a nice guy. Moving on to our links, we run a Deco Talker and a Firewall Dragon because of the option. There's ways of swarming pretty easily in this deck, so it's nice to be able just to keep those two out, and it's pretty darn cool. Alright guys, I'm going to show you the 2-card combo, kind of beginner's guide to Deskbots. If you see these 2 cards in your opening hand going second, and your opponent doesn't have any disruption, you're likely going to win. It's pretty darn cool, so we're going to get right into this. There's so many different other options you can do with it, but since we're just doing this a basic little intro, we're going to start off with it. Okay, so you're going to need Deskbot 3 and Machine Duplication. And then we went ahead and drew 4 other random cards. Let's see what they are. But for the sake of this demonstration, you're going to have all these cards in your hand as an option. So we're going to keep those. Okay, it looks like we have a 5, so we have a 10 scale. We're going to start by normal summoning our Deskbot 3. Normal summoning Deskbot 3 will special summon out a Deskbot 2. So Deskbot 2 will then search your deck for you're missing a 1 scale, so you're going to search out for your Deskbot 6, or you could even search out for a Deskbot 8, depending on how you're feeling, but 6 is a little bit more option because it gives you a little bit more options whenever it's destroying the Pendulum Zone. Next, you're going to activate your Machine Duplication. Machine Duplication will then special summon out 2 more Deskbot 2s. 1 Deskbot 2 will be used to search out for your 9, and 1 will be used to search out for your Deskbot base. So currently you have your full scale, and you have Deskbot base and Deskbot 9. Now some of these aren't necessarily required, but it's nice to have these in case your opponent does have disruption. So we're going to put that in the graveyard real quick. Next we're going to set up our scales, 6 and 5. Now make sure that your scales are back here now, so it gives you a little bit less room, but we don't play too much back row, so it's not actually that bad. Next we're going to play your Deskbot base, and we're going to pendulum summon our Deskbot 9s. So what you have on the field right now is all these Deskbot 2s give every single other machine type monster 500. So each one with the other 2's effects is at 15. But with Deskbot base, they gain an additional 500. So each 2 is at 2,000. Okay, that's good to, a little bit easier to remember. 3 and 9 will get all the effects of 2s plus base. So each one of them is going to be at 2,500. Whew, that's pretty intense. But we're not finished here. We have ourselves Deskbot 3's effect and Deskbot 9's. So you're going to use Deskbot 3's effect because we're still in the main phase, and this is the point in time where you need to use it. At this point in time, they can either negate it at this point and still be able to take a bunch of damage from Deskbot 9, or you're just going to get a massive boost. You're going to use 3, preferably on himself or one of the 2s. It doesn't really matter too much. And so he's going to give 1 Deskbot monster 500 attack times each Deskbot card in the field. So you have Deskbot base, which is a Deskbot card. So you have 5, 10, 15, 20, 25, 30, 35, 40. So 4,000. Let's give it to himself, putting up 6,500. Okay? Next, you're going to activate Deskbot 9's effect. 9 will then give himself everyone else's attack. So each one of these 2s was at 2,000, so that's 6,000 additional to his already 2,500. So it's 8,500. And that's adding on to the 6,500 that 3 had, and forgive me a moment. It's a little bit of math. 6, 7, 8, 9. He puts him at 15,000. I could be a little bit off on that, but that's a pretty darn huge. And you're going to be able to get over anything with 18, with 8,000 attack, with the 7,000 attack or less. If something's in attack mode, it's in Armades as well. If your opponent uses Mirror Force, they can't use Mirror Force. If you use something to destroy him, you have the option of destroying them instead. So you're likely going to win if you have the ability to attack over a monster this turn. Now, there are a bunch of other little options you can do. Obviously, your 6s and your 8s will gain attack power over time. But this is just a cool little, cute little 2-card combo that will almost all the time give you game if you have our conditions. So that's going to wrap up our Deskbot deck profile. It's a really fun deck, especially now with Wavering Eyes at 2. I've actually had moderate success with it at events. I went X1 at a locals not too long ago. It's not too bad. If you draw the right hands, it's not too bad. Even with Wavering Eyes, this was before Wavering Eyes was put back to 2. It was not too bricky. Another fun part, like the raw reason you want to see Raigeki or a lot of other cards that could be put in there instead is because I made the weird little thing of making the whole main deck all commons. So it's a fun little gimmicky thing that I did. Like you can upgrade, like 2 has a higher rarity, that's the only Deskbot card that has a higher rarity. And then you can definitely exchange some of those cards for other cards of your own choice, depending on what you had. But you can buy the core in itself and most of the supporting main deck for under like 10, maybe $15. It's not too bad, especially for buying a decent deck at this point in time. In terms of budget, it doesn't get much more budgety than this. The extra is kind of just extra. You don't, that's ironic, you don't necessarily need it, but it's nice to have, especially if you can max out on your extra deck. It's I mean, pretty explanatory, but it's nice and cheap to get into, and it's more fun the more you stay into it. Most people don't actually know what Deskbots do. You're gonna have to explain it to them. And their stats are all the same, so it makes it a little bit more complicated. And so just here's the card. And that's actually kind of a nice little surprise factor you can have when going into here. Once now that we have a new ban list, Zoo was hit pretty well, and Draco and was hit decently, and then dinosaurs were hit a little bit well. So it's going to be an interesting little format, and this is definitely a deck I hope you consider picking up. If not, just take it with a grain of salt. Hope you can get some ideas. Thank you very much, and you have a great day.